Everyone's been warning me that Shippuden is gonna make me cry. I even knew it was coming. I knew they were writing this to happen, and it still hurt. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and to another video. Today we are going to be discussing Hidan and Kakuza, the new arc that I just watched in Naruto Shippuden. And boy did it hurt. If you are new to the channel, hi, hello, my name is Hannah and I am on my first time Naruto journey. I began watching anime in 2020, so I did not grow up with this show, and it's taken me a little while to be willing to try the big three because they're all very long. But after many discussions with friends and many a time reflecting on what I wanted to watch, I decided to go with Naruto. I have been making a video after I watch each arc and given my honest thoughts and opinions on each one, and I'm continuing on that journey. And this arc, spoiler alert, has been my favorite so far, so we're gonna talk about it. But before we do, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment your thoughts. You can also follow me on social media. I just introduced my first Naruto cosplay of Kakashi, although when this video actually goes out, it's gonna be quite a ways since then. But if you want to check that out, along with a lot of other fun cosplays, some more Naruto cosplays are on the way. Go ahead and follow me, Hannah Malay, on Instagram and TikTok, and at lookingnerdy on X. All right, let's rip the band-aid off. This arc got me, guys. Probably 5 or 6 times I found myself not just tearing up, but like legitimately crying. So first things first, I do just want to say I could tell that they were building up to the character death that happened, which I guess I'll just put spoiler warnings now. If you haven't watched this part of the show, I'm gonna drop a character death, but I kind of knew ASUMA was gonna die. The way they were starting this arc out, I was like, you're getting too much screen time. It was still very, very hard. ASUMA hasn't really been one of my favorite characters, so it wasn't that hard. However, Shikamaru is my favorite character. So fun fact about me, whenever a character dies in a story, my emotions that I feel, like if I cry or I get angry, usually have to do with the reaction of the characters around them. There's a reason why Rengoku's death gets to me. It's not because I'm sad Rengoku died. I'm sorry for those of you Rengoku lovers. It's because of Tanjiro's response that gets me. And in this case, Shikamaru trying to reach him in time and not being able to do anything when it counted. Okay, let's back up. So let's first talk about the 2 new members of the Akatsuki that we met, of Hidan and Kakuza. I think they were both quite interesting. I feel like compared to a lot of the other Akatsukis that we have gotten to know, we're obviously not getting as much time with them, considering at the end of this arc, which was only 18 episodes long, both characters were dead as far as I can tell. Well, yeah, Kakuza is definitely dead. Hidan, I guess, could climb out of that. No, he's dead too. But I did find them interesting. I found it interesting that Hidan was this worshiper of a religion where he has to kill people. It was a very interesting contrast to most religions, and that was terrifying. I did not like him. I didn't really like Kakuza either. I found them both to be interesting, but there was nothing where I was like, oh, I want to get to know you better. But the 2 battles that happened with them, the 2 main ones. So first we had Shikamaru and ASUMA, along with the other 2 guys that I can't remember their names. And then we had the second half of the arc, which was Kakashi, Shikamaru, Choji, and Ino. And then at the very end, Naruto, Sakura, Yamato, and Sai joined. Both fights were very exciting. I felt like this was the first arc where I was watching, I think it was Kakashi versus Kakuza at some point, where I was like, this fight choreography and animation is really good. Even though I'm still in the part of Shippuden, that's from 2006, I think. I feel like the quality in animation has gone up a lot, even since the last arc. It kept me intrigued, it kept me interested, and I'm a Kakashi lover, so anytime he's fighting, I'm like, go, 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 Kakashi, go, Kakashi. So I was really impressed with both fights. Just the action was really good. The pacing of this arc was really good too. I feel like a lot happened, but it was only 18 episodes, which was so refreshing. Chunin exam left a sour taste in my mouth. We've talked about it a lot, where it was just so long and it took so long to get to the point. It got me to the point where I was watching this and I was like, how are we gonna close this up in a few episodes? And then I remembered that it was just adopting the normal pacing that most animes follow. So I really, really enjoyed that. Now let's talk about the first battle, because this one was the main source of my tears. Okay, so Hidan and Kakuza felt very, very unbeatable. And like I said, the way they were writing the story with his friend, one of the, like the only other Guardian 12 Shinobi being killed by them earlier, I was like, okay, they're obviously leading up to ASUMA dying here, especially because they were starting to show a little bit more backstory and a little bit more just time with him. There was romance with him, that sort of thing. So I was like, oh, it's not looking too good, but I didn't want to accept it. But this fight still kept me on the edge of my seat because it really did a good job at going back and forth. And there were a couple times where I was like, I think Shikamaru might actually help and might actually be able to save ASUMA, and we might actually get out of this at least somewhat okay, but at the end of the day, they weren't going to be able to do that. So with this battle ending the way that it did, the reason that it got to me so much was I have this love in stories. I love the trope of like a teacher being very protective over their student. So when you put it in a situation where the teacher is essentially giving their life, the student wants to save them but is not fast enough or just simply can't, but they watch it happen in front of them. Cue that like meme. Shikamaru is, at this point in time, my favorite character. I texted my friends at the end of this arc. I was like, Shikamaru is now my favorite character. I love him. It's kind of a back and forth with him and Kakashi. Kakashi definitely has more time on screen than Shikamaru does, so he has that working for him. However, with Shikamaru, watching him go through what happened in that first battle and watching him not be able to get to ASUMA in time and kind of becoming numb, his dad having to have that conversation with him. Side note, when he like closed the door and Shikamaru just started sobbing and screaming, I had to pause the show. I had to pause it. I was like, this is, nope. I can't do that kind of stuff. I'm a sympathy crier. When people cry, I cry, okay? But to watch him go from that to the badass that he was in the second half, to solo a Akatsuki member and put that bitch in the ground, literally, was honestly one of the coldest moments in the show in some animes, and absolutely my favorite moment of the show so far. There's been a lot of really great moments, but to go from that emotional like grab of him watching ASUMA die in front of him, ASUMA giving them all his last thoughts, everyone's sad, Shikamaru is like kind of dealing with how he's gonna handle the grief, and then deciding that he's gonna go after those guys and then 1v1ing the guy was incredible. Now I think as far as Shikamaru and Hidan, I felt like that was an interesting battle because you really have brains versus bronze in that moment, because Shikamaru is very strong, but maybe not like that physically strong, but his brain is very strong. He's very smart. He is very calculated, and he was able to pretty much predict that fight from start to finish. While Hidan was no brains, all brawn, very, very strong, seemingly impossible to beat. You know, there was a couple times where I was like, I don't know how we can beat this guy. I don't know if this is gonna be one of those ones where he escapes, if we are going to defeat him, if he's gonna kill someone else. I didn't really think he was going to defeat Shikamaru. I felt like with ASUMA dying, if Shikamaru had died too later on, that would have been very, very disappointing and very pointless. So I'm glad he didn't, and I hope to God he's not one of the characters that I know people are gonna die. I know more people are gonna die, and some of them are gonna be really hard, so we'll see. But just that whole arc for him in that one, the character arc within the arc was my favorite part of the show so far, 100%. The emotional grab, the excitement, and then the emotional grab again of him like having Asuma's like spirit be there, and then him lighting it with his lighter, and then I'm trying to get through this without crying because it was a lot, but that was by far one of my favorite thing in the show so far, and one of my favorite moments in anime in general. And that's saying a lot. And then as far as Kakuza goes, I really liked him versus Kakashi. I felt like that was a very interesting fight. When Kakashi came up behind him the first time with the Chidori, that was so badass. I was like, yes, Kakashi sensei. And I knew it wasn't going to be that easy. I knew there was going to be something that was going to keep that guy from just dying altogether. But he still did damage to him, and then he was able to continue to inflict damage until Naruto showed up and finished him off. Kakashi continues to get really good development, but unlike with Shikamaru, where I felt like the character arc within this season was very like a big loop. Like, we'd already started to develop him, but I felt like at the end of this arc, I don't know if he's going to get a lot more development or if this was the main development for him, but I felt like we kind of got almost the full arc of his story. I feel like Kakashi, we're not even halfway. I feel like Kakashi is the character that we're getting like very small drip-fed information about. So Kakashi remains very mysterious to me, but very lovable for some reason, and I think it's again because the teacher with the protectiveness of his students. But that whole battle was insane. Again, a lot of back and forth, which is very common for shonen anime. You'll think that the hero is doing good, and then the villain will have an insane power-up, and then the hero will be like on the brink of death and then have an insane power-up, and then that's gonna keep going until someone ends it at some point. It's very repetitive. It's very predictable. However, with the animation and the fight choreography, I feel like it just did a really good job this time around. I was very interested till the very end. On top of that, when we had Naruto show up and finish him off with his new jutsu, which turns out he really can't use, I guess, because it's gonna be too hard on his body too much. That was still one of my favorite Naruto moments. Having him it seemed like he was being normal Naruto, just kind of running in head first, not really thinking. But the second time, and when he actually was able to end Kakuza, he was using his head, and he made him think that one of his shadow clones was the real him by having the Chidori, but it was actually, or not the Chidori, the Rasengan, the new jutsu. It wasn't even the Rasengan, it was like a different version of it. I don't remember the exact name, but him actually being behind him and doing it that way was really good. Naruto is still very much growing on me. Is he in my top 5 characters? No. However, I can see him getting there because I am enjoying the development we're seeing of him. But it was very, very satisfying to see him show up and kind of save the day. I feel like Naruto actually hasn't gotten too many moments. I feel like a lot of characters show up and save the day, but it's never him, really. So maybe I'm misremembering, but I was like, okay, Naruto got his moment. Like, he came in and helped, and Kakashi's even like, you're stronger than me. Which is saying a lot because Naruto, I think, is still a genin and Kakashi's a jonin. So anyway, I think that overall, the action sequences were amazing, the animation was amazing, the emotions were amazing, the character development was amazing. I have no choice but to give this arc a 10 out of 10. I'll give it a 9.8 out of 10 simply because at times the battles felt predictable because it's following the same trope as they always do, where it's like someone's about to win, a power-up, someone's about to win, a power-up, someone's about to win, a power-up, until eventually someone has to win. But even then, like, Shikamaru versus Hidan didn't feel that way. There was a moment where it felt like it was gonna go that way, but it turns out Shikamaru had literally thought out the entire thing and was good to go. Like, he knew how that was gonna go from start to finish, and he followed through on that. And I was just like, this arc had me jumping out of my seat. It had me sobbing my eyes out. It had me laughing and excited. Like, there really is very little things that I can say negatively about it, which is why I have to give it a 9.8 out of 10. I don't know if I can give it a 10 out of 10. I don't know. But even like everything, the animation, the pacing, the characters, the story was all very well developed this arc, and this is the arc that moved Naruto into my top 10 animes of all time. Yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about it. I really, really enjoyed it. I feel like this video is not doing it justice either because I didn't write down what I was gonna say. I don't usually do. I usually just kind of yap about my feelings. But I felt a lot more scattered with this one simply because I loved it so much. I just feel like I can't touch on everything that I loved about it. We got some training arc within it with Naruto, which was good. I tend to like training arcs when they're intertwined with other things happening so that I stay invested, that I stay, like there's still stakes and that sort of thing. So if all of Naruto was like this, I would be hooked. Like, okay, I already am. But I would have been hooked early on and it would be probably like top 5 animes of all time, if not top 3. Right now it's sitting in roughly like 7th, 8th, but I can see it moving up because it's getting better with each arc, honestly. And people have told me that. People have said like Shippuden is it's a completely different style than the original series. This one shocked me. Everything about it was good. So characters got a 10 out of 10. I'll say the plot got a 9.5 out of 10 just because at times some of the battles felt a little bit predictable. And at the end of the day, ASUMA's death was predictable. Like, I was predicting it from the very start of the first episode of the arc. So, you know, you can say what you want to say about that. I don't think predictable means bad. A lot of people try to say, oh, that was too predictable, so therefore it's not good. I think predictable means that they are doing a good job at foreshadowing what is going to happen, and that's that. So overall, I enjoyed it. I'm really enjoying Shippuden. I have ideas for more Naruto videos than just these ones too, so stay tuned, but I guess that's it. I really hope I did the season justice because this was really good and it got me in my feels. It was the first death that really, really hurt, honestly, because there's been a couple deaths here and there. You know, the third Hokage being one of the big ones. I didn't love him enough to really care. I got a little bit emotional when they did like his funeral scene and stuff, but Asuma dying was a lot worse. And poor Konohamaru, he lost his grandpa, now he lost his uncle. Like, is it just gonna be his family? Like, is that gonna be it? It's just all of his family is the one who's dying? I don't freaking know. But I really, really liked this arc. Did you guys like it? Because honestly, like truly, I feel like this one's changed the trajectory of the show for me. Even though I have liked a lot of the stuff leading up to it, this is when it was like, oh, okay. I'm starting to think about this show when I go to bed at night. That's how you know. That's how you know it's good. That's how you know it's good. So I'm really looking forward to what happens next. I cannot wait to see what else happens, but I'm also very nervous because everyone's like, oh, don't worry, that was just a softball. Just wait. Like, cool. But I'm very excited to see what happens next. That is going to be it for today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment your thoughts on this arc and my journey on Naruto as a whole. Also, leave a suggestion in the comments of some other Naruto video ideas that are not just reviews. I did do a character tier list of all of the characters from the original series. If you want to check it out, I'll put it right here. I will do like a full character tier list once I'm done with Shippuden. I just don't want to get spoiled because there's still a lot that I have yet to see. But if you have any other ideas, you guys let me know. But other than that, that's it for today's video. Matane!